Bruchim Aboim B'Shem Hashem B'Shem Irgen Shir Torah, the covenant introduced Rav Yaakov Zev Smith Shlita for today's shir on the Indian of footwear on Yom Kippur. Whoever would like to have the great schus of sponsoring a shir, call Irgen Shir Torah at 718-851-8651 or email tapecenter@yeshivanet.com. Rav Smith.
Right before Tisha B'Av this past summer, a Bach in the camp asked me, he showed me a pair of shoes that looked like the typical shoes that the Bachim wear. And he asked me, could I wear it on Tisha B'Av? So I was surprised, Zil Kri Beirav, there's an issue of wearing shoes on Tisha B'Av. So then he smiled and he told me there's not a trace of leather in these shoes. This is a synthetic, 100% man-made material. Are you allowed to wear it on Tisha B'Av, Yom Kippur? Is there a problem of Marasayan? And the truth is, even if you don't have such a exotic type of pair of shoes, but today there are many footwear, whether it's comfortable non-leather shoes, Crocs, sneakers, slippers, and they're very comfortable. Is there any shaila at all about wearing them on Tisha B'Av Yom Kippur? And as we'll see, the question is also negay on different forms also. If you touch a non-leather footwear, slipper, sneaker, do you have to wash your hands? Yom Kippur, we don't just wash our hands if not necessary. Do we make the bracha she'asali kol tzarki if we're not wearing leather? And a host of other questions. But basically, as we know, every halacha we take very seriously. Reishis Chachma, Yiras Hashem, Zok the Heilige Chazon Ish, Yiras Shemayim is diktuk bedin. But especially we're talking about the day of all days, the Yom Kippur Ba'aleinu L'Toiva. Chazal tell us, Pasuk says, Yom Kippur is Ba'einish Kares. So we have to make sure that we're doing things correctly. What are the halachas, especially in today's times, that they're more common to have these type of alternatives instead of shoes? So the emes is that besides the Yisra of Achilu Shasiya, as we know, the Mishnah says in the Ayin Aleph Mabez in Yuma, there's also the Yisra of the Chamesh Inuyim. The Gemara and the Ayin Vav learns this from the fact that Torah mentions 5 times the word Inui regarding Yom Kippur. So therefore, besides Achilu Shasiya, there are the Chamesh Inuyim. One of them, of course, is the Issa of wearing shoes. Is a Machloikis Rishonim, if that's a Deraisa, like Achilu Shasiya, many Rishonim hold it is a Deraisa. The Pasuk says Inui, and we know that to mean Nilos sandal, so why is it a Deraisa? Okay, there's no chorus, only by Achila, but it's definitely Deraisa. Other Rishonim say no, if it doesn't say anything about shoes specifically, the word Inui is an asmachta. The Mishnah Berurah in Tafrei Shud Aleph Sif Katan Gimel says, Lamaisa Royu Lahachmir, we have to treat it like an Issa Deraisa, and even a suffix about this Issa wearing shoes is considered a suffix Deraisa L'chumra. And that explains why the Mishnah Berurah in the end of our Sim in Tafrei Shud Dalid says if someone's going between the Goyim on Yom Kippur, and he's very embarrassed to be wearing his galoshes or slippers, Mister, what's with you? So even though it's an issue of Kvayid Habriyas, he cannot wear shoes. Because in Issa Deraisa, there's no heta of Kvayid Habriyas. But I'm always amazed how Chazal looked at the shoes on Yom Kippur. The Minchas Chinuch in Mitzvah Shin Yud Gimel, and the new print is Sifkat and Yud Dalid, says if someone Chalila wears leather on Yom Kippur, besides the Issa Deraisa of wearing leather, if he goes out b'shas harabim, he's oiv al tzaitzah carrying on Yom Kippur. What do I mean carrying? I'm wearing a very nice, expensive pair of leather shoes. Zok the Minchas Chinuch, since on Yom Kippur this is asa deraisa, it loses its shem malbish on Yom Kippur. I mean, he has the eyes of Amunah to see that this is not an acceptable malbish for this day. Once a year, it's not a malbish. Imagine someone he needs a rashba in the house, he doesn't have a rashba, so he goes to the yeshiva, he puts the rashba over his head, and he wears the rashba. You can't wear a rashba, right? It's important, but you can't do that. Wearing shoes on Yom Kippur is not a malbish. Okay, Lamaisa, others question that, and the Minchas Chinuch himself writes, La Yivesi B'Kur Abchina, but certainly this gives a sense of urgency to our issue, besides the issa of wearing shoes, it could be a tzah as well. What should also be pashit, it's lav dafka walking with leather shoes, that's asa. the Chelkas Yoyev and Chelik Beis, Simon Beis, he says the fact that Paiskim discuss standing on a leather mat, even though you're not going anywhere, is clear that the is not going with leather shoes, but rather wearing leather shoes. Someone comes to shul with leather shoes and stays put the whole Yom Kippur, he's over every moment. It's not a question of walking, it's wearing. Now, what makes our sugya challenging, because today we have a host of non-leather footwear. Again, shoes, sneakers, slippers, Crocs. In those days, they didn't use rubber that much, and they didn't have these shilas. But Baruch Hashem, as we often say and we often see, we have a Zayar Reiche Torah, we have a very complete Torah. We're going to look into the sugya, we're going to find exactly what we need to find. As we mentioned, the source of the Issa of Ne'ilas HaSandal is because the Torah said 5 times the word Inui, and one of them is referring to Ne'ilas HaSandal, not to wear shoes. But it doesn't say a word about shoes or leather, Inui. Now, Rabbi, so we have to really define that. How would you describe the Issa of Ne'ilas HaSandal? So I'll give you a few choices and tell me what you think is the most probable. Maybe the Issa of Ne'ilas HaSandal is don't wear leather shoes. That's the Tzuras HaIssa. Why? By Pashit, because when you walk barefoot in the road, you step on pebbles and you step on other sharp items, and it's very uncomfortable. When you're wearing a nice pair of leather shoes, then you don't feel the inui of walking. A whole year wear leather shoes, gesund to hate. Yom Kippur, a din and inui. So the isses don't wear leather shoes. Period. No. According to that, if you have a non-leather shoe, it's mutla chatchila. And the Torah said leather. I mean, the is is leather. Imagine someone says wool and linen is shatnez, ner ani is daiti. If you wear cotton and polyester, it's also shatnez. No one asks you to be original and creative. The is is wool and linen, right? If the is is a leather shoe, so then the most comfortable non-leather shoe is 100% mutter. Or maybe, where'd you get the word leather from? The Torah said inui. If you walk barefoot, that's inui. If you walk with a comfortable non-leather shoe, there's no inui. So maybe the isses don't wear shoes of any material. Shoes or sneakers also would be awesome. Or maybe, let's be a little more aggressive, where'd you get the word shoes from? The issa is inui. If you walk barefoot, we'll soon see the key word is yachev, barefoot. That's a form of inui. If you wear Crocs, it's not a shoe, it's not leather, but you don't feel the ground, there's no inui. So since the Torah does not say anything about shoes, it's inui, maybe don't wear any footwear. Not shoes, not sneakers, not even Crocs. You have to feel the ground to make it inui. And to be even more aggressive, but I have to mention this because this is a shita of the Heilige Bach, once the issa is the word yachev, so maybe you have to go without socks also, barefoot. That's what taich is. So, if the Torah would have said Ne'ilas HaSandal, or like by Chalitza, it says the word na'al at least, Chach Epis, no, then we can understand, we could, know the Tzuras HaIssa. But the Torah said inui, maybe taka, even if it's not a shoe, if you don't feel inui, you're violating this issa. So what makes it a little more intimidating than we would like it to be, the Gemara and Daf Ayin Zayin discusses, how do you know that washing is a form of inui? Whereas Psukim, how do you know that Ne'ilas HaSandal, not wearing shoes, is a form of inui? So the Gemara has 3 Psukim. One in Shmuel Beis regarding David, a second in Yeshaya, a third in Yirmiyah. And by all of them, the pasuk is Hoylech Yachev, Aram Yachev. 3 times the Navi is referring to the Inui by Yachev. And that's where you know the Issa of Ne'ilas HaSandal. Now that is challenging. That means it has nothing to do with shoes or leather shoes. Yachev. I hope we'll find the heter that we have socks. But beyond that, man dechar shmei. And indeed, if this would be the extent of the sugya, we would definitely say you have to go just with socks, kulei hai. But the next blot, the end of Ayin Chesam and Aleph, the Gemara is a shayla. Mahu lotzeis besandal shel sham. Rashi teaches, the first the Rishonim explain, it's a non-leather shoe made of a soft reed material that grows in the river, like a soft type of grassy material. Oh, this is mamish custom made. It's not leather, but it's a shoe. So the Gemara cites 6 Meiser Rav, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehuda, Abaye, Rava, and Rabbi Ahuna, that all went out with these type of shoes that were from soft material, whether it's cloth or grass material. And the assumption is, if a Marayim did it, then it's got to be mutter. Okay, so you're allowed to wear these soft type of shoes. The Gemara has a kasha, but we see regarding Shabbos, but it's again to Chalitza also, regarding to Yom Kippur also, that a wooden shoe on Yom Kippur is asa. Why is a wooden shoe asa? It's not leather. So the Gemara says, oh, you know why it's asa? Because you put a cushion onto the wooden shoe, so now it's a tainug, and tainug we don't do on Yom Kippur. For the Gemara, what's wrong with tainug on Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is a Yom Tiv. There's an inui, but there's no issa tainug. So the Gemara says, you're right. Nothing wrong with tainug per se. But Zok the Gemara, Lamaisa, this is, since it's considered a shoe, and on Yom Kippur, shoes are asa. So therefore, the Gemara says, Minalhu, and Rashi and Hilkach Yom Kippur asa. So here we see as clear as day, wearing a wooden shoe on Yom Kippur is asa, lav dafka leather, l'chayr. However, there's a different Gemara, and that really complements our sugya. In Kuf Aleph, Amid Beis, and Yavamis Kuf Beis also, is a sugya of Chalitza. Chalitza, the Torah says Na'al, and therefore says the Mishnah, Cholza ban pilya, Chalitzasa psula. Like Rashi, you have a shoe made out of a material, a beged, and you made chalitza on that, you're not yoitza. Why? So the way the Gemara explains, and the Gemara discusses Yom Kippur also, the Gemara says, on pilya shel or, a shoe of leather is a chalitza, and Yom Kippur is awesome. But on pilya shel beged, a shoe made of material is not a beged. Chalitza is no good with that, and you're allowed to wear it on Yom Kippur. This is the first mention of leather regarding Mil Sandal Yom Kippur. But the Gemara says 2 extremes. Leather is awesome, and beged is mutter. And what about wood? And what about plastic and rubber? So, Baruch Hashem, the Beis Yosef did a wonderful job. And again, this is a big sugi if you were in the lumdus of it, but we have a big agenda. The Beis Yosef in Taf Reish Daled presents the sugi in a most beautiful way. Rashi is clear. Any shoe on Yom Kippur is asa, period. Lav dafka leather. A wooden shoe is asa midaraisa, according to Rashi. The only heta is a soft material. Presumably it's not a shoe. Rabbeinu Yeruchim says, I never saw anybody wearing a wooden shoe on Yom Kippur. We have 2 Rishonim. The Rabbeinu Zrachi Bal Hamor says, even if it's not a shoe, anything that's megan that protects you from the ground also prevents inui and is asa. According to these 3 Rishonim, a plastic rubber shoe, a croc, sneakers are asa midaraisa. However, the Rosh in Yuma Ches Gimel quotes the Yerushalmi, and the Ram there quotes the Rif, that they focus on the word leather. The only issa is leather shoes. The Chinuch in Shin Yud Gimel, I was makabel from my Rebbe, he says, whenever it says sandal or na'al, it's leather. And he says it as clear as can be, Yom Kippur, the only issa is leather, and nothing else is asa. I would imagine, because what's generally a shoe? leather. They didn't have rubber. You made a shoe from leather. But at the end of the day, according to the Rif, Rosh, Ran, Chinuch, a person can have the most comfortable non-leather shoe in the world, and it's mutter lechatchila. He's comfortable, gesundheit, Yom Kippur, I forgive you. The Machmirim, the Rishayim that hold the Asa, they say the focus is the word Inui and Yochev. And cracks and sneakers are not Yochev, and it's not Inui. But those that are Mekel say the only Issa is leather shoes. In fact, the Marshag in Chelik Beis Kuf Yud, he says if someone wears a thin leather shoe, it's awesome. Because the Torah's Megala, the way the Gemara learns, that leather is usually a shoe, which you don't feel the ground, which is awesome. But once it's leather, it's asa categorically. Anything not leather is perfectly mutter. The only big question is, if you hold that non-leather is mutter lechatchila, what about the Gemara that says that a wooden shoe is asa? Zok Tebach in our sugya, it's talking that he put a piece of leather in between his foot, his body, and the shoe. So really he's stepping on leather, and that's why it's awesome. So Rabbi say, our Chakira, what's the Tzura Sa'issa? We said 4 Tzadim. We just now saw in the Rishayim 3 of the 4 Tzadim. The Rif and the Rosh say the Issa is leather shoe. Rashi holds any shoe, even wood or plastic. Rabbi Mizrahi holds if you feel the ground, even if you're wearing cracks, is awesome. And we'll soon see the 4th tzad as well. L'mais, we have a big agenda. How do we paskin? So the Torah in Taf Reish Yud Daled says, since we learn out from the Issa Inoi, Dafka Shel Or is Asa. He understood it, only leather shoes are Asa, like his father, the Rosh. Evidently, again, it's a Giloi, that's the Issa of wearing leather. What's interesting to me, the Rav Shulchan Aruch and Sif Gimel, and the Mishnah Berurah quotes him verbatim. He says, whatever's not leather is not considered a minnow, but as a beged, it's a malbush. In other words, if you have halachic eyes and you're looking at a wonderful pair of non-leather shoes, it's not a shoe. It's a sock. Again, ein a nikra minnow and a malbush. Sneakers, Crocs, non-leather shoes are not shoes. There's no issa. Pashit, it's not a shaykh and issa on non-leather. Someone who's very allergic to leather, so he can't wear leather shoes. He's he'll have a terrible reaction. Can he wear a good pair of non-leather comfortable shoes? Avad? What's the shaykhs? This is the halacha according to the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch. Non-leather is not asa, period. I'll tell you a little more of a hezbollah that gives a lichtigay in the whole sugya. Shleim Bezalman Alichas Shleim, it's page Shin Samachei and Shin Samachvav of Hilchas Tefillah. He also wonders about this question that we're all wondering about. Today you could have a very comfortable pair of non-leather shoes, and Allah, it's perfectly mutter. Where's the Inui? What's pshat? So he says a Davar Nifla. The Gemara says in Brachot of Samach Hamad Beis that we make a bracha every morning she'asa li kol tzarki on the benefit of shoes. Why shoes of all things? Is that the godless of a person? She'asa li kol tzarki. So he quotes the Siddur Hashlah that there are 4 categories in the Bria. Doimein, there's the inanimate objects, the earth, stones. Tzeimeach is plant life. Chai is the animal kingdom, animal life. And Madab is the human beings. If you notice, the Bereshta made it in a way that a level, the higher level, lives off the lower level. The Tzeimeach, vegetation, plant life, grows in the ground. Chayas eat the vegetation. Humans eat kosher animals. But it's more than just that we eat animals. We eat animals that live off Tzeimeach, that live off daimim. So the human being is really superior over all of Bria. But where do you see it most pronounced, Dr. Heilige Shlah? When you take leather from an animal, prominent part of Bria, and you wear it on your foot. Imagine you go with a big cow, I need your leather, I want to wear a pair of shoes. You know, that shows a tremendous dominion, you know, like you're a boss. And he quotes the pasuk in Tehillim, Perek Ches, Mo'enesh kisis kirenu v'erad misif kedenu, v'adechasreu ma'at me'alekim u'kvoid v'adat tatreyu, tamshilei v'mais yadecha, kol shata tachas raglecha. When a human being is able to wear leather shoes, that shows a supremacy over animals, over the whole world. Zok Tishla, that's the bracha she'asa li kol tzarki. I take an animal, a piece of a cow, a leather, and I wear it when I walk on the ground. Zok Tishla Mezalman, aha, now I understand why if you go in a Makom Kadosh, sha'al nolechem al raglecha, you take off your shoes. Why? Because in a Makom Kadosh is not a time to show superiority. It's a time for achno, not for gaiva, to show I'm the boss. Then he says, aha, oy bazoi, I understand. That's the issa of wearing shoes on Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the time of Avelis. Relax. You know, you're not so big today. Yom Kippur is a time of such a great day. Also, it's not about me. Therefore, Zaktab Shleim Zalman, if that's the hezbah of the issa, it's only leather. Because the problem is when you wear leather, you show, I am superior to all of the Bria. But non-leather, what's the problem? And then he adds, parenthetically, that's also why there's an issa of nilas sandal for an avel lo yaleinu. An avel is a time of ein shiltein b'yom hamaves, no lording over animals, not the right time. Therefore, we don't wear shoes during avelus. So that gives a little more hezbah why it's a din in leather shoes, nothing else. And the Mechab and Tafrei Shudalet Tziv Beis paskins clearly like this: a leather shoe is awesome, anything else is mutter, and then he adds, but a minel shel eitz u'mechupa or, that's awesome. Where did the Mechab get that from? That's the sugya in Masech Yuma, that the wooden shoe is awesome, and the way the Mechab understood it, it's if you have a leather piece. We'll soon see how negir this is as well. But Rabbi said we can't forget that there are those Rishayim that hold this is a serious issa. Any type of shoe is awesome. The El Yerabba and the Pri Megadim and Al Simon say, I think it should be Machmir, because of Bnei Yeruchim, and other Rishayim say it's awesome. But one more point I wanted to mention that might give us a little more guidance. The Rambam in Shvisas Asa Per Gimel Loch Zayin says you're not supposed to wear any type of shoe. He says you're allowed to wear soft material, but not shoes. He doesn't speak about leather or wood. And then he says, V'koyach Adam Beged Al Raglov, V'yoytzaboy, you're allowed to put a material, a shmat around your foot. Sherei Koishi Haaretz Magia L'Raglov, Umargeshu Yachev. You're allowed to wear a towel on your foot, because when you walk, you feel the ground, and you feel you're barefoot. It's up to Beis Yosef, Devar of Stum. The Rambam is not clear. I don't know what he means. Is he being makel or being matir with wood? I don't know what to do. I don't understand the Rambam. But since the Rif and the Rosh are makel, therefore I'm makel. Kumtz again, the Panami Irais was a contemporary of the Noid Behuda, Chelik Bey Simon Chavches, who was mamish asked point blank our shayla. I guess in his time they had this similar scenario. A comfortable type of shoe that's designed that is completely non-leather. It has a heel, it says they elevate the part of the back of the foot. It's mamish, a very comfortable non-leather shoe. Can I wear it on Yom Kippur? So he discusses the sugya in Yavamis, and then the sugya in Yuma like we did. And then he says, Lamaisa, the Rambam writes words that Beis Yosef says is stumim. Zaktim Panamiris, it's not stumim at all. It's Mosek Midvash. The yisoid of the Issa is to feel inui. The yisoid of the Issa is Yachev. If you're walking on a comfortable shoe and you don't feel inui, and you don't feel Yachev, some Rishonim hold it's Me'ikad Din, but at least you should be chayshish for that shita. The Rambam is saying a factor that impacts halacha is you should feel yachev. You should feel inui. Therefore, Zok Tepana Me'irais, and you have to read the Lashon carefully. He's not saying it's Asami Deraisa, because Mi'ikid Din, leather is the Issa. But I quote his Lashon, Kol Yorei V'char L'Dvar Hashem, Yesh Le'Lahachmir, Shlei Loteis B'minan Ha'asui Milavadim, V'asui Kemidas Minal Shalanu, Umegun Ve'enei Margish Klal Shuhay Lech Yachev, V'lav V'chlal Inui, V'amachme Tovay Olav Bracha. What he's saying is somewhat of a compromise. You don't have to go barefoot mamish. If you have a thin slipper, you feel the ground. Or many people wear galoshes, rubbers without the shoes, of course, that they feel the ground. That's fine. You feel yachev, you feel inui. But if you design a shoe, whether it's a sneaker, non-leather shoe, even cracks, and you don't feel the ground, and you don't feel yachiv in any way, he doesn't say it's asa, because the Shulchan Aruch is mekel. But at least the Rambam is implying that should not be done. So what he's saying basically is, a person should choose the proper footwear that he still feels the ground, and he still feels the sensation of being yachiv. We had a half a dozen Amoraim that went out with non-leather shoes. Teretz is Pashit. They went out with shoes made of material that Avadia felt the ground. They didn't want to get dirty. That's why they wore it. We'll soon see the Torah L'Shma says you go out on the street and you end up getting dirt, pardon me, from things you're not supposed to daven with on your foot. That's a problem. So Amoraim went out with soft material. But to wear Crocs, sneakers, or shoes, we have some Rishonim holding his asa, and Panamir is saying it's advisable to be machmir. The Chassam Sofer, which is on the page of the Shulchan Aruch, has a very strong endorsement of this Panameirais. He says, Lamaisa, a person should ha'ika, leila kolayim, ba'ampalayan, v'shtrumpen, that's socks, like the Prima Godim says, like we mentioned, and also like the Pana, he quite says it like the Maram Ash Paskins. Now someone asked me, Maram Ash is a Talmud of Chassam Sofer, how is he quoting his Talmud? It's not the Maram Ash Talmud. Maram Ash also stands for Rav Meir Eisenstadt. That's the Panameirais. He was the Rav of Eisenstadt. So anyhow, the Chassam Sofer says Dvar of Nechainim, and therefore one should try to follow the Panameirais' psak. The Chassam Sofer does say that if a person has to walk from his home to shul, he can't walk in socks, then you can use a soft material, but at least in shul, go with either socks or a soft slipper or galoshes. The Mati Afraya, Bishtabura Archa Shulchan, I saw Rabbi Yashiv in Ashriya Ish, Chele Gimel, and the Satmarov quoted in the Makadosh Yisrael Shin Chav Dalid, were all chayshish for this Panameirais. In the Gra was also makbid only to go with socks. That's quoted in the Meiser Rav Chodesh Amud Shin Pei Beis. It was interesting to me that Archas Rabbeinu Chelik Beis Reish Zayin, both the Chazon Ish and the Stipler were makbid only to go with socks, not with any type of footgear. And they say a story there that once there was a Bal Koira that every year got an Aliyah Yom Kippur, and that particular year he didn't get an Aliyah. So he asked the Gabbai, what happened? So the Gabbai said, I'll tell you the truth, the Chazon Ish noticed you were wearing slippers and says, here we don't wear slippers, so don't give him an Aliyah. I guess next year he came back without his slippers. But the Chazon Ish and the Stipler were makbid like this Panameirais. Now, Lamaisa, the Mayad Muzmanim has a very thorough tshuva about the whole sugi, if you want to see Be'iyan, but Chelik Vav, Simon Chav Ches raises a different point, that it is no doubt about it, in those days, leather was the only malbush. I mean, a cloth material as a shoe is not a viable option. Leather was the only real option. That was the derech of shoes. So up to Sternberg, it could be that today, that the derech is to make a shoe of non-leather. Probably there are more non-leather material than leather material. So maybe it's more than just a chumrah not to wear non-leather shoes, because it is a shoe. It's the derech. Lamaisa, we understand why there are many people that are makbid, like the Chassam Sofer, which goes back to the Panameirais. But I must be as clear as I could be. Mi'ikad din, a non-leather shoe, sneaker, cracks, you name it. As long as it's non-leather, it's mutter. Just like shatnez is only tzemer and pishtin, the issa is only leather. And like the Rav says, Mr. Brewer says, a non-leather shoes, if you have Torah eyes, is not a shoe. You're allergic, on Yom Kippur, allergic to leather shoes. Those that are Mekel certainly have the Shulchan Aruch, and other places can be Seimachan. The Marsham, both in Das Torah Afanart and in his Chuvas, Vav Kuf Lamed Zayin, he says the minig is to be Mekel, and even the Panim Eirais wrote up about Nefesh Yachmir. I saw an interesting Chiddush of Shlomo Zalman, Alicha Shlomo Yadim, Heyud Zayin. He says, today, we're all Istanis, and that's why we're all Mekel with any type of non-leather footwear. So Lamaisa, as we said, we understand why people are makbid, let's say rubbers or soft slippers, but the Welt that's Mekel, we have all these Rishonim and the Shulchan Aruch. If you want to feel a little more confident in wearing sneakers or non-leather shoes, there's an interesting Marshag in Chelik Beis Siman Kuf Yud, who was asked this question: can I wear non-leather footwear that's comfortable? So he discusses the sugya a little bit, but his point is really this. He says, the Panim Eirais is Machmir, so why not be Machmir? Yom Kippur, it's a good time to be Machmir. So he says, who said that's a Chumrah on Yom Kippur to cause yourself unnecessary tzar? Now listen to his point. He says, Yom Kippur is a Yom Tiv. There's a Chiyuv to wear big day, Shabbos at least, and it's a Yom Tiv. Mishnah says it's the biggest Yom Tiv of the year. You can't cause yourself tsar on Yom Kippur. You can't tell someone else bad news on Yom Kippur like we don't do on Shabbos. So if someone decides to be frum and stand on cold metal floor to give himself tsar, that's not a midas chasidus, that's an ism. He writes a little sharper than I'm saying. He's a shait and a pesi. Who asked you to cause yourself tsar on Yom Kippur? It's a Yom Tiv. The Torah said chamesh shinoyim, so follow the law. But don't add. He says, why don't we say, Erev Yom Kippur, it's a midas chasidus to fast. So you go into Yom Kippur, you'll be even more hungry. Torah says it's a mitzvah. Why? Do inui and no more. And he says emphatically, whoever does a pu'ula that's not necessary, that causes tsar, there's an einish because of bizayin Yom Kippur. Wow. So he says, therefore, Misha Eini Hailach b'menalim shel gumi shemutav who writes k'dei sheyitztayer oisa shaloi kedin she'asa l'tzayer atzmei b'yomtiv. It's wrong to be machmir. So once you have the machaba and those rishayim, you can wear your non-leather shoes, Crocs, sneakers without reservation. Now, of course, the Panim Eirais, the Chasam Sof, and all the machmirim were not intimidated by this taina. If I'm wearing just socks because I'm chayshish, for many Rishonim that hold it's an issa deraisa to wear even non-leather, so I'm not doing it out tsar, I'm doing it out safek deraisa. So that's really what it boils down to. Is the issa non-leather shoes mutter period? Then you don't have to be machmir. If you're chayshish for the machmirim, it's kedai to wear something that's not as pronounced as far as the inui, the lack of inui. I saw something beautiful, and you learned the Gemara. It's mamish. The question cries out. The Gemara that we learned in Yuma, that Ayin Chesed Beis, says, I saw this Amoira that they wore the soft material on a tiny sibur. Then the Gemara has a brilliant question. Could you also be Mekel? I'm sorry, those that are Machmir, the question is, he was Machmir on a tiny sibur. The question is, what's the halacha on Yom Kippur? So the shaila is, I don't get it. If tiny sibur has one halacha, you think Yom Kippur is more kal? What's the shaila? Zok to Siach Yitzchak, one of the popular mafarshim on the Masechta Yuma, yes. If it's taka mutter to wear non-leather, to wear as material, so on tiny sibur you want to be machmir, that's fine with me. But Yom Kippur, there's no option to be machmir. It's a tsar on Yom Kippur shaloi l'tzayra, which is very similar to the Marshag's approach. What's interesting, the Mishnah Berurah in Hilchos Yom Kippur quotes the Panim Eirais to try to avoid wearing comfortable non-leather footwear, and in Hilchos Tisha B'Av he doesn't even mention this chumrah. And someone is saying, because Mishnah Berurah held on Yom Kippur, Safek D'Oraisa, you have to be machmir. Tisha B'Av is not a D'Oraisa, you could be mekel. which is the very opposite of the Marshag. Like the Marshag, you can't be machmer on Yom Kippur, only on Tisha B'Av. Pasha. Marshag was convinced it's mutter gomer, don't be machmer on Yom Kippur. Mr. Ruas Chayshes lahalacha might be asa. If you go out Suffolk the Issa, when is there more of a tzad to be machmer? Yom Kippur more than Tisha B'Av. So this is why, again, the Welt, Amech Kulam Tzadikim, each minig has a firm basis in halacha. Those that go out with galoshes, which is not comfortable, it's a little of a schlep. Galoshes is a good example. It's not a shoe, it's Yochev, Kamat, and it's definitely Inui. Now, what's noteworthy, the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Hay says, Sama Machmir, not to wear galoshes. Koloshin, he calls it. Now, I saw the Ber Moshe, the Cheli Beis, Nun Ches says, you want to be machmer like the Panamiris, is very good. Don't wear sneakers or chveis or non-leather shoes, but galoshes. And in fact, the Munkacha Daki Chaim V'Sholem and Tafresh Ayin Gimel, he dafka wore galoshes on Yom Kippur. So it must be that the Mishnah Berurah where he lived, the galoshes were a thicker rubber that you didn't feel the ground. I don't know a better pshat, but the Aruch HaShulchan already says that the eighth is to wear galoshes, which is enough to keep your foot clean from the dirt on the ground, but you're not wearing a comfortable enough shoe to take away the Yochev. I would be remiss in not at least mentioning the Bach. The Bach is on the page in Tafresh Yudalid. The Bach says, Li'ikad Adina, and that's what I saw my Rebbeim, Sheholchu Yochev Legamri. No non-leather shoes, no slippers, no socks, Yochev. Now, this is interesting. The Gemara in Yuma, that Amoraim went out with cloth. They were less firm than the Bach. I'll tell you what I saw the Siach Yitzchak writes, also on that sugya, that they were istanissen. They couldn't go barefoot. But you should just know the Bach, Shita is Yochev Legamri. Now, I can't explain this, but I did see this quote. I don't have the Sefer, but the Koshin Zemagid has a Sefer on Zoya. The Lashon I saw a little bit in the Ktei and the Ashmatais, and our Simon, but the Nittig Avil and Amit Shin Yazayin quotes the exact Lashon that the Koshin Zemagid said, Zacharno Esad Da'oga, to play on words, Dalet Aleph Gimel Hayam. I tell you my worry, that people, even Loim De Torah, don't know how to learn halacha. Because when you learn the sugya, he says, you clearly see on Yom Kippur you have to go out Yochev Mamish without socks. That was his minig. Some say that was the minig of the Bnei Yisascha. Yochev Kipshutay. That's the sheet of the Bach, the Kosher Magid certainly. Now, the truth is, he learned the Gemara literally. Yochev, Barvis in Yiddish, barefoot. Lamaisa, it's hard to accept and it's not done. First of all, I should mention, the Torah Lishma, that's the Ben Ish Chai, and the Tshuva Sefer Kuf Samach Zayin, he doesn't bring the Bach, but he wonders, why taka did these Amoraim go out with some type of foot covering? Why couldn't you be a sport and be machmir more? So he says, you can't go out barefoot, you're going to end up stepping on dirt, again, dirt, halachic dirt, and you're not clean for the Yom Hadin. So they dafka wore something to keep themselves clean. You know, the Kiyas is a prelude to Kedusha. So they dafka wore machmir to wear a foot covering that fits the halacha. Also, I wonder on the Bach, the Mishnah Berurah in the beginning of Siman Bey says, a person should change his socks under the blanket. Al sneas, you shouldn't expose your feet. Now, Yom Kippur, they walk around the whole day with barefoot, mamish. Now, Lamaisa, Rav Moshe Nechuv and the Aruch HaShulchan, I saw the Steipler, Chazon Ish said today, it's a derech, you're allowed to walk around without socks, it's not a breach in sneas. But it's just hard to understand in the Bach's times, Yom Kippur, all of a sudden they walk barefoot. So maybe once a year, it's not a lack of tznius. But Lamaisa, what I think is most emphatic, the Taz, in the end of Sif Katan Aleph, is an Edom of the Bach, don't forget. He quotes the psak of his Shver the Bach to go Yachev, and he says, it can't be done. And he brings a raya, the fact that the Amoraim did this, and a person should not be machmir because he's shedding a doubt on the rest of Klal Yisrael. Oh, you're firmer than the whole world? So the Taz says, don't follow the psak of the Bach. It's sort of moitzi las ala rishonim. And what's noteworthy, the Bialacha writes, although I quoted, I guess you mean to say the Panameirais to go without any footwear, but I didn't quote the Bach because the Paiskim are doicha the Bach. So there is a tzad to be machmer like the Panim Eirais, but not like the Bach. And last but not least, the Hagoyis Baruch Frankel on the Shulchan Aruch, that was the Shver of the Divrei Chaim, he says for Dava Pasha that even the Bach did not mean barefoot without socks. He meant you could wear socks, but nothing else. No slippers, no galoshes. Maybe that's what the Kashas of Maggid, it's hard to believe, but that's basically what I saw as far as the Bach. But I wanted just to point out that we started with 4 options in explaining the Issa of Milas sandal, and now you see all 4 have a basis in halacha. According to Shulchan Aruch, the Rishonim, it's only leather shoes. We saw the Shita of Rashi, that any shoe. We saw the Shita of the Panim Eirais, but really it's a Shita Ben Uzrachi any time you feel the ground. And yes, barefoot, Kipshuta is a Shita of the Bach. To apply this more specifically, Lamaisa, Crocs, sneakers, and non-leather shoes, the minigun to be makel. Someone can be machmir wearing only a soft material, Tavay Alav Bracha. Just Friday in the yeshiva, someone showed me Crocs that had a part of it leather. Now this is a mitzvah lefarsim. You know, we associate Crocs with being a rubber material, which it is, but there are Crocs, and I saw it, and the company told him this, that has a part of it leather. How do we classify a non-leather shoe, sneaker, or Croc that has part of it leather? So for us, it's a Beferish Gemara. Because if you recall, the Gemara says a wooden shoe is asa. According to many Rishonim, non-leather is mutter, because a part of it was leather. And that's why the Paiskim all agree a non-leather footwear that has partially leather should not be worn. Unless it's mamish not part of the actual shoe, maybe a design, a bow. But any shoe, sneaker, Croc, slipper that has non-leather component should not be worn. And again, it's important to mention, because I've had this more than once on Yom Kippur, someone asked me, what should I do? I was told that these sneakers have leather in it. What you should do is, before Yom Kippur, whatever you want to wear, make sure there is no leather part of it. The more expensive, the more expensive the item is, the more chance it has leather. But I've seen sneakers, slippers, and Crocs that have a part leather in it. You want to be very sure, call up the company and say, I'm very hypersensitive to any leather. Does your product have any leather in it? So they'll think that you might have a reaction and you're going to sue them. So they'll be very forthright. But you're not lying, because you are very hypersensitive because of this Torah. You know, that's something that you're very sensitive about. Someone asked me a question. He learned, someone to share in yeshiva, can I wear my leather belt or my watch that's made of leather? So he was all worried, because this is not partial, this is Kool-Aid leather. So I told him, gesund to hate, the Issa is not leather, the Issa is a leather shoe. Especially like Shlomo Zalman, it's mamish only, again, when you're stepping on the ground. The Ramah, in fact, has a shita, and that's the way we paskin mikid din. You're allowed to step on a leather mat. The Issa is not leather, it's leather shoes. And I saw, according to Shlomo Zalman, you're wearing leather, but again, Shlomo Zalman was focusing like the Shlah, Kol Shata Tachas Raglecha. It's wearing a leather shoe is us, and not wearing a leather belt or strap. But what I think is beautiful, the Pri Megadim, Kedarke, very bekitz, and Sifkat and Zayin, says, Or dog v'oif mistavra da'asa. Shouldn't wear a shoe made of from fish or birds' leather, so to speak. Now, why is that asa? I don't think it's as strong as leather, but like Shlomo Zalman, it's masuk midvash. You're taking a chai and walking on it as a shoe, that's the makar of the Issa. Then I saw something also interesting, the Chura Shai, and the Chuvas Taf Kuf Lamed Gimel, Minolam Asuya Misar Behema. You have a shoe made out of the hair of animals. Again, I don't know how this was done, but that's what it was done in his times. So he's machmir based on a lashon of the Arizal. But I was thinking the way Shlomo Zalman understood it's pashut why it's awesome. Because it comes from animals. You're making a shoe that originates from animals. And that shows a superiority over animals, which Yom Kippur is not the time for that. Rather, someone asked, they had a slipper that has hair of the animals, of an animal inside of it. So that fur. So that could be like this, the churashai, that might be an issue. But if you have a fur coat, don't worry, that's certainly not an issue. There are heterim. The Mechaben Siv Gimel speaks about a woman that had a child, a chaya, which is a woman that after childbirth, a choila, and someone has a makkah, is allowed to wear leather on Yom Kippur because of their condition. So to make a long story short, the Paiskim say today they should not be makel. There are so many non-leather options. Let them better wear sneakers or Crocs or non-leather shoes. So even though in Shulchan Aruch is mutter because there was no viable option, today there's a good alternative and they should not be makel. Young children also, the Paiskim were makel by a very young child because he needs shoes. But today the children love wearing sneakers, so they should be told it's Yom Kippur. And even at a young age, it's kedai to train them again, because today the sneakers does not take away any of the development of the child. The Ramah in the end of Tov Reish Yudal discusses a person has to walk through a heavy rain. When Yom Kippur it rained, I remember Tisha B'Av Tavshin Ayin Ches, it was a mabel. If you're walking in a muddy area with your slippers, you get dirty. And believe it or not, the Ramah is not makel, unless you're istanis. Because again, this is not a pushover. If a person could wear his socks and gets wet, okay, he's not trying to wash his feet, there's no issa mitzad that. But if a person could manage without wearing leather in muddy, inclement weather, the Ramah seems to say that's the way to do it. The original question that we began with, can someone wear a expensive pair of non-leather shoes? And I saw my own eyes, there's no way to tell it's non-leather. So the truth is, the issa of maris ayin is not just hergation, it's sugyas. Drinking chalev shkedim, chalev isha, or dam dogim, even though it's mutter, but we don't do it al maris ayin. And Re'ez Apeller, Reb Shlomo Zalman and Mincha Shleim Tinyana, Nun Gimel, Sif Katan Gimel, was asked this question: a pair of non-leather shoes, is it us al maris ayin? And he says yes. Why is it different than milk that no one knows is chalev shkedim? And plus he adds, if you look at the Gemara in Yuma, the Gemara discusses a maris ayin factor. But then he says, to me it was a fakir techidif, but he says, but if someone's a chayla, he's allowed to wear leather shoes. Because the halach allows him. He says, imagine someone has to cook for a chayla. Does he have to announce, I'm cooking for a chayla? I'm maris ayin. You do what you have to do. So he comes out with a chiddush. To wear non-leather shoes is maris ayin, but a chayla is allowed to wear leather mamish. Lamaisa, it's a chiddush because even though, as we know, there's an issa of maris ayin by chalev shkedim, and when I was growing up, it was a problem of parva milk unless you had a container on the table. But today that it's so widely used, people give parva ice cream, parva milk. It's understood. So why don't we say the same regarding non-leather shoes? I mean, in the recent years, it's almost come to a point that there is more non-leather shoes than leather shoes. But certainly it's not synonymous shoes with leather. And I talk Asur Abba Yashiv in Ashrei Ish Gimel Chav Beis Vav, who said today if someone wears non-leather shoes, there's no maris ayin, because it's understood. Just like parva ice cream by a chasana, no one starts to talk that it's basa b'chalav. And the truth is, in Halicha Shleima on Yom Kippur, they quote some that question Reb Shlomo Zalman's psak that he writes in the Tshuvas. Could be in Reb Shlomo Zalman when he wrote this tshuva, it was not so common, maybe. But today it seems that you could definitely be makel that non-leather shoes is very much a oivel asoichem, and it's not maris ayin. The question about making the bracha she'asa li kol tzarki on Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av is a very valid one. Like we said earlier, the bracha is said because I'm wearing leather shoes, that's called tzarki. That's why the Ariya Kaddish and the Ma'aser Rav in the Goyin in Ois Tes did not make she'asa li kol tzarki on Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av. They both waited till Moitzoi, Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av, and put on their leather shoes and made the bracha. However, the minig, I think, of Beroiv Tvutzes Yisrael, Mishnah Berurah writes this in Hilchos Tisha B'Av, Tov Kuf Nun Dalet Lamadov regarding Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av, that the minig of Oilam is we do make a bracha she'asa li kol tzarki on shoes, both Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. We're not wearing leather shoes, Ike Chasam and Aseifa. So if you look in the Torah in Taf Reish Yud Gimel, he says, but if someone's going in a dangerous place where there are scorpions, he's allowed to wear shoes. So you're not so distant from shoes. Then he says, besides that, many of Birchas HaShachar, many Rishonim hold that the Birchas HaShachar said on Hagish Shalaylam. A blind person makes Pekeh Chivrim. We don't hear the crow of a chicken, we make Birchas HaShachar. Zok the Beis Yosef, that besides the Torah Svara, it's Minhag Shem, it's not me or today. Now the truth is, the Gra and the Arizal held, Sha'asali, you're talking about me. But this is why the minig is to make the bracha. What I wondered is today that we have, quote, kosher shoes, whether it's non-leather, sneakers, Crocs, or the like, maybe that's another reason we can make the bracha Sha'asali Kol Tzarek. You can have very comfortable footwear. You'll say, oh, wait a minute. If your moed is considered a shoe, l'gabi the bracha, then you can't wear it on Yom Kippur. It's not true. L'gabi Yom Kippur, it's totally in leather. Maybe here it's totally in feeling footwear. The only thing that I'm a little concerned about is light Rav Shlomo Zalman's understanding that the Shasli Katzaki is leather dafka, then the chayra non-leather footwear doesn't satisfy the need for that bracha. But I saw the Darkei Chaim V'Shalom, when he put on his galoshes in the morning, he made the bracha Shasli Kol Tzarki. And also I saw the Makadosh Yisrael quotes the Tashbitz in Beis Kuf Pei Vav, who says before Tashbitz the Rishon, that Lamaisa, when the Issa is only R, non-leather is mutter, and that's why you're allowed to make a bracha on non-leather, on shoe Shasli Kol Tzarki. La'alacha, the minig is to make a bracha in the morning. Why can I be firm and wait till at night? I must tell you, according to many Rishonim, the bracha is only said by day. The Goyim was makel say it at night. But it's not kedai to wait till at night, till matzoi, make the bracha on non-leather shoes, or even if you have just socks, on Minhagei Shalaylam. The question on Kippur comes up often, if someone touches a non-leather shoe, does he have to wash his hands? Now, it's not just a question, yes or no. If you mechuyev to, you have to. If you're not mechuyev to, you're not allowed to. We don't wash for no reason. So this is part of a big sugya, but very basically, it seemed that the main problem why we wash our hands, we touch shoes, is because of the ruach ra associated with leather shoes. And this led a number of poskim to say, non-leather shoes that you touch, there's no chiv natila. Slippers, sneakers, it's only leather shoes. But enough poskim say that it's not leather shoes per se, but it's shoes that touch the ground and walk on the ground. So what I think is a very good pshara, if we assume that non-leather shoes is chayav natila because if nekiyas, it touches the ground, then instead of washing the whole hand or both hands, which is necessary for ruach ra, if you touch the non-leather shoe, slipper, sneaker, it's only nekiyas, then just wash the hand part, the finger part that touched it, that's lacking nekiyas. Another fascinating question are leather shoes. A person comes to shul with leather shoes, he comes before this man, takes them off and puts them on the floor. So first we should cover them, it's benad mechaveirei. But there's another problem of muktzah. Since you can't wear shoes on Yom Kippur, it's kvisham lachtu le'issa. It's unheard of, it's a full-fledged pair of shoes, but today it's perfectly awesome. It's like the Minchas Chinuch that it's not a malbush. So enough paiskim hold, it's taka muktzah, klishim lachtu le'issa. The only heter to move it is l'tzoyrech mikaymai. But better, Chachmei Roshei, put it away before Yom Kippur, don't have to move muktzah on Yom Kippur. What I think is achrein chaviv, I think the most important halacha l'maisa is there's a very common misconception, but a very terrible mistake. People associate in their minds Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. In fact, in halacha, there are a lot of halachas that are overlap. Twice a year I see this funny thing. Someone's told me, twice a year people come to shul with their sneakers, Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. But there's no bigger difference like between Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is a day of Avelus. We sit on the floor. Yom Kippur, the Mishnah says in Soif Tainis, is the biggest Yom Tov of the year. Chalila Avelus. The Torah in Taf Reish Zayin says, why don't we wear shoes? He quotes the Pirkei Eliezer that many things we are similar to malachim, like angels, we stand, we're moichel one another, and we go yachef like malachim. In other words, we don't wear shoes not because of tsar or avelis, it's the Heibenkeit. You'll ask what I asked, but I thought the Issa is Inui. So let me share with you Chassam Sofer, just hearing the words, it's worth reading the words. In Drash Chassam Sofer Chelik Beis Amen Shin Samach Tes, Chassam Sofer says emphatically, Tainus Yom Kippur is not la'anois nefesh u'letzar Yisrael chas v'sholem. Kiya machmas kedusha u'kreves v'dvekes k'malachi ashares. And then he says an analogy, he's talking about me and you, so listen good. Me and you don't wear shoes in Yom Kippur, don't eat in Yom Kippur, Ke'inyan mem yoim harishayim b'achayim shahaya Moshe beinu bahar lechem v'yochol. Because of the dvekes and kedusha are enemies of Ashchina. We look forward to Yom Kippur that me and you are like Moshe in Shemayim that we don't eat. Zok Chassam Sofer, it says Tanu nafshei seichem einenu loshen inui like Tsar ela his oiris kimoi Hashemayim yanu es haaretz. Tisha B'Av is inui, is Tsar, is avelus. Yom Kippur is the Heibenkeit. It's a day we live like a malach, a day we all cry out, Baruch Shem. And it's not Tsar. And it's noteworthy. The Rambam in Shvi says, Osa Pergalav Halacha Daled, describes the Issa of eating on Yom Kippur. Mitzvah say, Acheres Yesh B'Yom Kippur, V'hi Lishbais Mi Malacha U'Shasiya. And I'm sorry, Mi Lishbais Mi Achilu U'Shasiya, Shenem Etanos Nafshei Seichem. So Rav Gedalia Yeshua used to say, it's printed in the Or Gedalia, it's a Pella. The Rambam is introducing the Issa of eating Inui, and he says the Issa is Lishbois. Lishbois is like Shvis, like vacation. That's the Issa, I thought it's Inui. So Rav Shua used to say, the Issa is not an Inui Issa, it's a vacation. We disconnect, we don't need eating and drinking. We take a vacation from the foolishness of Olam Hazeh. And I found both Maral in two places, in the Drush Shabbos Shuvah, and in Derech Hashem, he says the Inu on Yom Kippur is Kidei L'Salik U'Lamayit Es HaGuf Achi Adam Kodesh K'moy Malach. The Hey Inuyim is disconnecting and detaching ourselves from Gashmias. And the Chassam Sofer was not just choosing a mashal. It's like Moshe that lived like a Malach 40 days in Shemayim. And then you'll see halachis so meduyik. Matzoi Tisha B'Av, we don't make Kiddush Devani after Ma'ariv. We first eat and come back with shoes. We want to shake off Avela so we could say Kiddush Devani B'Simcha. Matzoi Yom Kippur, we go out without eating, with our slippers or socks. We want to extend being a malach more and more. That's the biggest simcha. But I'll tell you something more. Much more Negeil L'Maisa for Hilchas Nilas HaSandal. The Maram Chagiz, and I saw the Ben Ish Chai, Chaim Falaji, all the Sifrei Halacha / Kabbalah, all write very sternly, a person should not step barefoot on the ground. Because Arura Hadama, because of us, and it's inappropriate and maybe even dangerous to walk barefoot on the earth. Now, I guess on a floor in the house it's okay, but on earth, Arura Hadama Babarecha. Yet I saw from the Bnei Yisascha and other Svarim, Yom Kippur is no problem. We bachted it. Why? Because the Yom Kippur is like Admas Kodesh. When it came to Beis HaMikdash, take off your shoes. The Makam is Kodesh. Yom Kippur, the person and the earth is so niskadesh, we walk directly on the earth. So to me it was a Pelin Gava. It's a whole different appreciation of the Ismail Sasandal. You know, it's like the Welt says, and the Welt has a good intuition for things. Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av Ayid est nicht. But there's a big difference. Tisha B'Av, wer can essen? Who could eat? I'm so molei avelus. Yom Kippur, wer will essen? Wer darf essen? Who wants to eat? Who wants to be busy with narishkeit? I'm living like a malach. And I'll say the same thing. Tisha B'Av, wer can tragen shich? Who could wear shoes? It's avelus. Yom Kippur, wer darf sich? Who wants to need shoes? I'm walk on the ground. You know, someone told me he was giving a shir, Erev Tisha B'Av, in a camp. 12-year-old boys. He has, boys, what's the saddest day of the year? I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Erev Tisha B'Av. A boy raised his hand. The saddest day of the year is Yom Kippur. That's a bitter gelechta. He didn't have a chinuch. He missed the point. But that's really the message of Ne'ilas HaSandal. Tisha B'Av is the saddest day, it's an Avelis. Yom Kippur is the happiest day. And the Inuyim, like the Chassam Sofer teaches, are not tsar. It's ways of disconnecting to bring us to Moshe Rabbeinu in Shemayim, that the Admas Kodesh and the Yid is Kodesh. I thought this is appropriate to hear, to appreciate the Yom Kippur. The fasting, not wearing shoes, is connecting to the real me. And then you don't look at the clock, how many hours left. You forget, say, oi, another hour's gone. I love this existence of like a malach. They once asked Shlomo Zalman on a random day, what's your happiest moment of the year? And he answered without even thinking, because by him it was pashit, when I make a Shechayanu Erev Yom Kippur. I'm going into that treat called Yom Kippur. You know, if someone appreciates the Yom Kippur, he could also feel the greatness. And maybe that's why there's a minig Yisrael to make 2 Shechayanus on Yom Kippur. You're wondering, 2? Yeah, we make 2. The Mishnah Berurah brings from the Shlah Kaddish that you can come to shul, make the Shechayanu, and say it a little quicker, so when the Chazan says Shechayanu, you could say, Amen to Shechayanu. Libi Aimali, because one Shechayanu is not big enough, not good enough. I want to chaparayin, Oin Amen, Yoisim and Amavarech. But we have still a little bit of time to prepare for Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, Reb Chaskel used to say, is a Mabul Shel Rachamim. Abdon says this many times, that you couldn't look at Reb Chaskel and Rosh Hashanah. He was so molei pachad, so molei emes adin, it was a shrek to look at him. But Yom Kippur, he was a different surah. He was a surah of molei rachamim, Mabul of rachamim. I saw from 2 of the big Balei Musa, that was a chiddush to me. The Balei Musa say, really we should dance against Yom Kippur. But we have an avodah to do, we have work to do. But the attitude is to feel like Yom Tov Yisrael ki Yom Kippur. The Inuyim remind us of that. And in a time that Klal Yisrael and Rebbe Yisrael needs Yeshuas and Refuas, let's hope that we should appreciate the Yom Kippur, and we should have Yeshua, Lanu Chal Yisrael, like a Machzima Tova to all of you.
Shem Irgenshir, Torah, Yavir Shakar, Smith to today's share. And there'll be a sequence today's share in 5 minutes for Smith. Machzima Tova to everyone who could bench Yara. Randi Ben Akashem, Matzagalish Bochel, Zachis, is a sort of figure, Hebel, and Torah Mitzvah, Shanem, Adonai, Chofes, and Man Sidkoi, Yagdol, Torah, V'yader.
Israel, Vagala, Bisman, Korib, Rabbi Stabach Mispar, Mami says, that always alive is a loss, maybe we should be Laila Liela, we call Bachas, Bishirasa, Tishbuchas, Rechamasa, Amiram Bambabru, Amen. You shall Rabbi Banal Tamidem, Tamid Zamidem, Ramandoski, Marais, Rasad, Dane, Savasar, Yailon, the Kharm Slamara, Bakhir, Bakhir, the Virach, Mebachai Riche, Muzani Rebich, the Kanwan Shmaibar, Amen. Hey, Slamara, Mishmai, Kayum Tavim Alain, the Lakay Sabaru, Amen. Yisrael Shalom B'Remav Yisrael Shalom Aleichem Malka Yisrael B'Ru Amen.
Guys, he did come. He did not come.
Wow. Wow, really. That's right. That's nothing. Not even here. Beautiful. Oh. Beautiful. Shows me Hashemayim.
Yeah, mine is from the Japanese. Somebody's supposed to be help my house today for repair work. They never showed up.
They say that.
Hello? 216 Elmwood. And I have to leave it out. I was reading out at 9 o'clock and never showed up. It's not they told me something. Monday they said that October the 67th. Okay, so you people made a mistake. So it's Monday from 9 to 1? What, Monday 9 to 1? What? Okay, yeah, next time you hear the secretary said Sunday, that's what she said. Okay, thank you.
Which place is the Malachim of Aboyes? What are you doing, sir? That's why, yeah. Listen, ready. No, you don't have to do it. I'll do it myself. But in this magic, you watch someone else.
Okay, I wish everyone has their shoes on, ready? The seeking of today's share, just a few minutes.
Okay, just to show what we learned today, Bez Hashem, we learned the sugya of the Inui of Nilas Sasandal, which is based on the Torah using 5 times Inui, and one of them is Nilas Sasandal. And as we began, there are 4 possibilities of what the Issa is: either leather shoes, or any shoes, or any foot covering that you don't feel the ground, or barefoot. And as we saw, there are shitas that are basically these 4 tzadim. The shita of the Shulchan Aruch, that's the shita of the Rif and the Rosh, and the Ran, that only leather shoes are rasa, and that's the halacha l'maisa, and that's the minig of Roiv ha'olam. There are some medaktigim that try to satisfy the shita that any footwear that you feel the ground, that you don't feel the ground is asa, and therefore rubbers would be mutter, or soft slippers. Of course, non-leather, that is. The Bach shita that not to wear even socks is not accepted and not done. But basically, the sugya is that that leather shoes is an issa derais. That's the Mishnah Berurah's chayshish for. It's not karis, but it's issa derais. We treat it like a derais. Even a suffix is also. Even the makom kvayt abriyas, there would be an issa. The issa is not walking with leather shoes. It's wearing them even in one place. The Minchas Chinuch is so much convinced it's also that it becomes ois malbish on Yom Kippur. A person should wear socks, should wear a proper foot covering. His feet should not get dirty, like the Maroyim did. That's why we understood the Maroyim that wore some type of foot covering. If it's possible to be chayshish for the Panamiras Chasam Seifa, galoshes, a thin slip is an option. The belt that wears sneakers, non-leather shoes, Crocs, is going to be Ikka Dedin. Maybe like the Marashag explains, also not to add extra unnecessary inui. A shoe that's partially leather is also asa. Clarify before Yom Kippur what exactly is in your shoe, crack or slipper. A leather belt or watch band of leather is perfectly mutter. It's only wearing leather shoes. We did see the Pri Megadim that even not to wear a shoe made from fish or birds. The Chura Shai said even from the hair. But basically, the issa is leather shoes. A chayla, or a woman after childbirth, or someone that has a makkah, there was a time that it was mutter to wear leather shoes. There's no option today. We have many options, and they should be used. There's no marisayin today in leather, non-leather shoes, because it's well known that shoes are typically non-leather. We do make a bracha Jasli Katsarki in the morning. Those that follow Minig Hagro or the Riyah Kaddish don't make the bracha until at night, but the Minig is to make in the morning, either on Minig Shalaylam or on the non-leather shoes. A person touches a non-leather shoe, slipper, or crack, he should wash the part of the finger that touched that unclean shoe. There is, you should be chayshish, I can't say all agree, but you should be chayshish that a non-leather shoe is muktzah. A leather shoe is muktzah, is only mutter to move the tzayrak gufa mekaymei. And most important, to appreciate the issa of Nilas HaSandal is a tremendous, timely message, the godless of a person and the godless of Yom Kippur. We are living like a malach. It's not an inui, it's dahibenkait. And basically, that's why you're allowed to even walk barefoot, and that's why we keep it beyond Yom Kippur to Kiddush Levana. That's why Lamaisa, it's something that enhances the Kedusha Sayyim. And as we said, Mr. Zalman said, the happiest moment is Shechiyanu. We have two Shechiyanus. The thing is to appreciate the godless of Layam Tovim Yisrael Kiyam Kippurim. What? Because we have to. Thank you.
Why do you make me shoes? That's sin.
Wait. The shoe like that? That's a reason or just come out?
That's what's in the siddur.
You don't make it.
Don't tell them.